Creatures of the night, it's your girl Tati. Let's talk about Revolution. I'm gonna let you guys know right off the bat that the pay-per-view is absolutely worth the watch. Are you going to see everything that you really want to see here? Not really, but I do feel like it was pretty solid. Definitely one of the better pay-per-views that they've ever done within AEW's history for sure. The pre-show, I'm not going to get into it, but as great as this pay-per-view was, that pizza man on the pre-show that didn't do a damn thing, gonna go on the media scrum talking about, oh, I'm glad to be part of what made the show what it was. You didn't make the show nothing. You was in the pre-show and you didn't do a damn thing. Orange Cassidy is the one who's helping y'all taking the win out. You know what? I'm not gonna get into it. We started off the night with Hangman versus MJF. And as I said before, that MJF and Hangman thing is just going to be something that's going to be playing out for quite some time. So for me, it didn't matter who ended up taking the win. Hangman ended up taking the win. He had a really nasty bruise on the side of his shoulder. So I hope he's okay. I think we're on to bigger and better things when it comes to Hangman, especially that title this year. So we'll see. I'm not surprised that MJF again has opened a pay-per-view. So this is something that I feel like we've seen a little more often lately, especially since he's returned. So I think it was a great way to get started, especially since we had to remove the stink out the building, which is the pizza people. So great way to open the show. Hangman for sure. I'm fingers crossed about Hangman. He got something big going on this year, and I hope that's the direction that we're going. We'll talk about that in a moment. After this, TBS title on the line, Mercedes versus Momo Watanabe. Another great match. One thing I kept seeing everybody say was this was running pretty long. And yes, I would agree. It ran much longer than I think people were expecting. I was surprised to see her second on the card. Since Mercedes has been in AEW, she's been much higher up on the card. This came second. And to be honest with you, I could understand. This is her second time going against Momo in the past few months. So I think for those of you who have seen them, you kind of knew what you were getting into. They have really great chemistry with each other, and they did a really great job. Mercedes ended up taking the win via submission. After this, the stress I went through with this. Ricochet versus Swerve, Prince Nana. All three of these guys were wearing all white. Ricochet came out with the embassy robe. He put his logo on the back of the robe. And I'm not going to lie, I don't feel like I've seen this logo before. I don't know. But this is Ricochet's logo. And he did have it on his trunks and his knee pads and stuff like that. So no big improvements in terms of the robe itself. Prince Nana is out there, and I know people are looking at it as in Prince Nana is going to turn, and I think that's what they wanted you to believe the entire time. Now, when Ricochet puts the robe off to the side, Prince Nana keeps going over to it slowly, so he can go take it. Ricochet sees it and ends up taking out Prince Nana. Now, another thing too, Leslie Jones, the actress, she was showing up and showing out throughout that entire match, just losing her shit over it. And it's so fun to see when people are watching wrestling and they react this way. And it's great to see a celebrity doing that, because, with celebrities acting a fool during wrestling, that probably will get people to want to know, like, what the hell is going on? So that was a good thing. Now, Ricochet, I think he did really well here. Prince Nana was trying to, I guess, help Swerve. Swerve ends up pushing him. I didn't really get that part in terms of why he pushed him. Did he feel like he was pushing the referee or Ricochet? I don't know. Obviously, Prince Nana upset. He ends up leaving the match, and at some point he comes back over there so he can get his hands back on the jacket. We even had a spot with the announce table. The announce table was like, baby, not today. I'm not going nowhere. I'm on strike. This was really, really great, and I was kind of nervous towards the end, thinking that Ricochet might end up taking the win. But when I thought about it, remember, the person who wins this gets to go for the AEW World Championship, and I just could not see Ricochet being that guy. And sure enough, Swerve ends up taking the win, rightfully so. But this match really, they really put in the story in here. This is one of those things where it's intense, not too much of the wrestling, but of the story. But Prince Nana being here, you're not sure if he's going to turn on Swerve and be part of whatever Ricochet got going on. And it just made you feel like, okay, this is really intense. And what was at stake here was the winner going for the world title. Swerve is that dude. So I'm glad he ends up taking the win. And yes, they end up hugging it out. Well, Swerve and Prince Nana. Ricochet ends up leaving like a sore loser. And Swerve gets down on his knee. And Prince Nana puts on the embassy jacket on Swerve. And all is good in the hood. Really great matchup. After this, Continental Championship on the line, Okada versus Brody King. Brody King there wore pants instead of trunks. So that I didn't like right off the bat. I'm going to say this. Whether y'all agree or not, Okada, I haven't seen nothing from him since he's been here. I haven't seen anything from Okada since he's been here. This match, I want to say 7 minutes tops. 7 minutes tops, if that. It was over really quickly. But before it was over, if you saw how Okada looked like by the time that match was over, Brody King was able to inflict all types of pain. There was bruising and welts and everything all over Okada's body in like 7 minutes, which is absolutely insane. There's a rumor going around saying that Brody was injured. I don't know if that's the case. I'm still doing a little research on that. I hope not. But it was so short. It was just like, why even put this shit on here? There's nothing when it comes to the Continental title at this point. The best thing about the Continental title is when it's on the fucking line at the Continental Classic. And that's literally it. I honestly don't know how can we put any prestige to this title at all. Okada is that dude. He really is. But he has not done anything worth watching since he's been here. And I don't know why that is the case. The booking hasn't been great. Haven't had many title defenses. He's a funny dude. He's an amazing wrestler. But something about his time in AEW is just not clicking like I think how people would have thought. This match ain't really worth the watch to me. Now, while we're at it, some people might even say this about the tag team championship match, the Hurt Syndicate versus the Outrunners. There was no chance in hell that the Outrunners were going to win. Something like this kind of made you feel like this is probably a good bathroom break. Because the Hurt Syndicate, it kind of seemed like the Outrunners that were out there, they got a little TV time for the pay-per-view, and it's kind of seemed defeated already. I don't know what it was. That's just the vibe that I was picking on. So for me, it was just like, all right, they kind of seemed defeated already. I don't see them end up taking the win. And it was, at first, you see the Hurt Syndicate kind of acting like, oh shit, you know, they're just not a team just for shits and giggles. They're actually a good team. So they kind of seemed like they were taken a bit aback by how well the Outrunners were doing. No, they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. The Hurt Syndicate ended up taking the win. And to be honest, while I'm happy with them with the title for their first pay-per-view defense, I would have never given it to the Outrunners. We could be doing so much better. One thing I do want to point out here is that Crew is Leo Rush and Action Andretti. They were watching from the front row. So I don't know. I can't even say I'm excited about that, but they were there. I think we could do so much better when it comes to the tag championships. Not just the tag championships, but the division itself. We need to put in some work. Now, we're moving on to the best match of the night. When I did that video last night about the women's wrestling and shit, and I was kind of coming off as a mad black lady in that video, it was for things like this. How the match of the night turned out to be Toni Storm versus Mariah May for the Women's World Championship, for the Hollywood ending. They tore it up. Absolute beauty from top to bottom. This, not just the match, but the story itself. I know a lot of people was nervous about this match for the simple fact that the story probably could have been dragged out. And if they didn't perform the way they performed tonight, that the story would have felt like y'all dragged this out too long and y'all kind of ruined it at some point. And they just did an excellent job from top to bottom in this match. This entire story is definitely going to go down as Would I say the best AEW story? Maybe even the best. They absolutely was impressive here. I loved every moment here. If you are squeamish when it comes to blood, this might not be for you. Oh, blood was everywhere. Luther got his nuts kicked in, so we didn't see him for too long. Everything was just amazing. I absolutely love this. They were absolute hardcore the entire time. There is men in this business that would never do what Mariah and Tony Storm did here. Glass in the rain. They had like the bucket. You know, when you have the bucket of champagne, instead of ice, it was glass, broken glass. They put tape around their hands. They put their hand inside the bucket, and now they had their hand with the tape had shards of glass, and they were just hitting each other. And oh man, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing what they were able to do. I cannot even believe it. How you see things like this, Tony Khan, and then from here on out, if you fuck up still with the women's booking, then there is a problem. There is a motherfucking problem. If what Tony Storm and Mariah did tonight does not encourage you to do better when it comes to the women, I thought they did amazing. The mat was full of blood and glass. So at that last few moments of the match, they end up leaving the ring, and I think maybe at that point is when they started cleaning up, because there was a huge mess out there with the girls. They took it back to the stage, went for a table spot. Tony Storm ends up taking the win, and Tony Storm when I tell you the production was so good in this, Tony Storm laying on top of Mariah when Mariah is damn near lifeless, and that camera shot at the very end just makes you know that this is done. This is the end. It was done perfectly. I am absolutely amazed with these two. Absolutely. If we don't see Mariah for a long time while she gets herself together, that's great. She's absolute earned it. I cannot believe how amazing they're done. Match of the night for sure with these two. What other ladies are doing this type of shit in the ring? I personally don't know. This, if you haven't seen it, go out your way to see it. Absolute worth it. After this, I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it. The International Championship on the line. Kenny Omega, how you feel beating up a little boy? How you feel beating up Takeshita for the damn title? This match was a definite different pacing. A different pacing from what we got from Mariah and Tony. I know this is more on the slower side, and some people may not have liked that to come right after Mariah and Tony, but I think that was a good thing in terms of the pacing of the show. The order in terms of the card, I didn't care for. I didn't care for it. But they tore it up. They tore it up. Really great chemistry between them. And you almost believe that Kenny wasn't going to win this. But Kenny, I was not ready for Takeshita to lose this at this point. Here's the thing. When we talk about champions, it's not just holding a title, it's adding prestige to the title. And he's absolutely done that. Takeshi's absolutely brought prestige to the international title. It's not to say that Kenny Omega wouldn't, but it's one of those things where, yes, Kenny is one of those top dudes in terms of pro wrestling at this point. I don't think I would have sacrificed my young talent who has brought prestige to the title and for Kenny at this point. Kenny's a big dog. He could have probably taken this loss. He's already taken losses with Takeshita as already. And I think he would have been okay. He would have been okay. We could have creeped him on into the main title picture, the world title. And I think we would have been all right if it went that way. Takeshita obviously does not retain, even with Uncle Don coming out there to do his best. Uncle Don did everything he could, y'all. He did everything he could, but it was not enough. And Kenny ends up taking the win. They had the pyro and all this shit or whatever. This is the last time y'all gonna ever hear me say I didn't want Kenny Omega to win. Like, this is my dude. I love Kenny. I absolutely do. But this is one of those situations where, because of what I've seen Takeshita do with the International Championship, I've seen every single match that he's done, whether it's in Japan, whether it's in Canada, Mexico. I've seen everything that Takeshita has done, and he's absolutely put in the motherfucking work. And I feel like the wrong person ended up leaving with the international title today. Kyle Fletcher versus William Ospreay in the steel cage was absolutely insane. Another bloodbath. This was that brother versus brother type of thing. And is it finished between the two of them? Honestly, I don't know. I can't really say that. Even Mark Davis came on out there to make sure that they were gonna get things done, and he couldn't get the job done. Another one of those situations where, despite how wonderful the match was, if you don't like blood, this ain't for you. This definitely is not for you. It is one of those situations where I think the wrong person won. Once again, Kyle Fletcher did not take the win. Will Ospreay has taken a million wins within AEW, but I just felt like with what we've seen Kyle Fletcher do over the past year, he's absolutely been amazing. William could have taken this L and it would have been all right. Like, it would not have killed William to take an L here. Now, Kyle Fletcher, even Uncle Don trying his best out there to make sure that Kyle Fletcher ends up taking the win, wasn't enough. They ended up they did a screwdriver spot as well. The imagery in this match was really, really great too, because before the match even started, the two of them are opposite sides on the top of the cage, just looking at each other. And I thought that was so fucking awesome. So these young guys, they're really out there putting in a lot of work. And when I say young guys putting in work, this is what I'm saying with Kyle Fletcher. He is someone that should have taken the win here. Because of what we've seen him do, the improvement in terms of his wrestling, the way he looks, everything. He is definitely the future when you think of pro wrestling. But Will Ospreay, once again, with another motherfucking win. They did hit a Spanish fly from the top of the cage. And I know everybody's heart stopped because we just wanted to make sure that there was no injuries or anything. And it was great. It was absolutely great. Still, Ron Preston ended up taking the win. I might say this might be the second best. Definitely the top three matches were all within the same time. Tony Storm match, Kenneth, and the match with Ospreay. All three of these matches will blow you away for sure. In terms of who you think should have won, that's all up to you in preference. Main event. A world title on the line. This could have gone a million ways. A million ways. It could have gone. After those three matches especially, you're kind of wondering, like, okay, Adam and Moxley, y'all got a lot of work to do. The first time that they were ever in the ring together one-on-one, or just ever, period, and was a match bad? No. It's that everything that happened before was better and very hard to top. And this is one of those situations where the booker is at fault here, because you have to, you're putting your main title on the line and in the main event when you already booked the rest of the whole thing to be better than the main event itself. So I was just like, look, I don't know if the quality of the match is going to be better than what we just saw, but the shenanigans might be able to put that out there in terms of, holy shit, this is an amazing ending in terms of the show. They didn't even do that. Adam Copeland, I'm not going to lie, I never thought he was going to win. For me, I always thought Moxley was going to win. Exactly what I said, Wheeler Yuta. I was willing to bet anything that I have in my life to say that Wheeler Yuta was going to be out there, and he was. Wheeler Yuta came on out there, and he gave Adam a Busaiku knee, and that's all we needed. That's really all we needed. And he looked regretful, to be honest with you. He did look like he regretted it, but Jay White did come on out there to even things up. He comes on out there, but it wasn't enough, because he ends up grabbing the briefcase that supposedly has the world title in it, and he ends up accidentally hitting Adam in the face with it, because I think, who was it, Willa Yuta, who was in front of him, some shit like that, moved out the way, then Adam got hit. Great. Now, Willa Yuta, Jay White, they end up taking it outside the ring, they fighting, and they end up leaving. However, that's not enough. But at that point, our stepdaddy came on out. And I was just like, okay, I don't know why you're here now. Maybe you can just stand out here and just wait to cash in. But when referee was counting, because Moxley was going to take that little win, our stepdaddy pulls, who was it, Bryce Rinsberg, who was the referee. And then he goes, I'm cashing in. He takes off that hoodie. He signs the little contract, Money in the Bank contract. And it was time for him to get on up there. And at that point, I don't think anybody was actually expecting for him to cash in to be in the match. I think everybody was expecting for him to wait to see if they win or not, whoever wins, and then he cashes in. And they didn't do that. Here is where I think they lost everybody. For sure, where they lost everybody. Our stepdaddy gets in there. And to be honest, it does kind of look like he's going to take the win over Adam. Moxley was outside of the ring praying or donning his shoes, who knows. And Moxley come on in there. And what happens is Moxley grabs our stepdaddy and puts him in a bulldog choke while we have Uncle Adam still laid out right next to them. So he has the bulldog choke onto our stepdaddy. And the coolest thing could have motherfucking happened. The coolest thing could have happened. While he had the choke on our stepdaddy, Adam Copeland laid out and both shoulders are flat on the mat. That's all you need to go for a pin. And here's our stepdaddy who reaches over, not too far, puts his hand on Adam's chest just like this, nothing crazy. Referee has to count because Uncle Adam has both shoulders down. And that would have been cool if they took the win this way. And instead, Moxley ends up pulling our stepdaddy away from Adam so he can continue to choke, and Christian obviously can't continue. Referee goes for the bell. What the fuck? What the fuck? I'm not even mad that Moxley just won. Like I saw this being the case, but the situation was that we wasted this contract thing. The very first time that they ever done this Money in the Clipboard contract thing, and they make it seem like shit. The way that they ended this whole thing makes it seem like shit. Like, who's gonna want to fucking win this next time? Who's gonna want to win this? And they just leave our stepdaddy and Uncle Adam to just be laid out on the mat. John Moxley is leaving and everything, and on his way, Prince Nana ends up stopping him, getting in front of his face and everything. And I'm just like, what the fuck Prince Nana doing out here? And the security guards are keeping them away. And I said, wait a minute, you keeping John Moxley away from Prince Nana? Like, what the hell? They're gonna fight? And I kept seeing one of the security guards keep looking up. This is when they were outside in the middle of the crowd. And here is Swerve jumping up from the top of from where all the other fans were and jumping onto everyone. I think it was a curb stomp, kind of, onto Moxley and all the security guards. And then after that, Who's House, Swerve's House music plays, and everybody and their mama is just losing their shits and everything. And not even Swerve doing that kind of saved how people was feeling by the end of the show. I just didn't care for it. Oh, I did forget to mention that whoever it was that was playing the drums during Swerve music, fired him. We didn't need him out there. That drummer, we didn't need him out there. The ops were watching during this match. The ops were also watching during another match too. I can't remember what it was, but we don't need the ops for anything at all. At all. They kept changing the commentators around for every motherfucking match, and it's just like, keep somebody ass out there all night, or we just don't. Like, it was just a mess. I don't know what that was about. Overall, the what was great was really, really good. The only ones I would probably not recommend is the tag match and the continental match. Other than that, everything was great. I don't want to say Moxley and Copeland was bad. It just did not follow up everything we saw right before that. The three best matches were all back to back in front before the main event, and that wasn't a good thing for John Moxley. We're gonna have to do more now that John Moxley has retained. We have to do more. This Death Riders thing, it either gets better or Swerve and Dynasty ends up taking that title off of Moxley. I love you. I'm still riding. I don't know about anybody else. But to be honest, it's not as great as anything else. So we have some storylines that seem to just be over at this point, and people are moving on. If Swerve wins it next, I think most people will be happy because the Death Riders thing isn't what it should be, especially at this pay-per-view. You guys, thanks so much for watching my review. I will be back on Wednesday with Dynamite. See you guys then. Bye.